It's time now for the West Holmes Knights Football Weekly Preview Show, brought to you by MRV Siding Supply.
Well, West Holmes suffering their second consecutive loss at Ashland Community Stadium last week. The conference leaders, the Ashland Arrows, by a score of 40-7. I'm Matt Roy alongside Jake Seidel. And, of course, for Ashland, led by quarterback Nathan Bernhard, throwing for 352 yards, 2 touchdown passes, 2 touchdown runs for the sixth quarterback. Of course, Appalachian State commit, and he showed why last week.
Well, I told you why. This is an Ashland squad that seems like they're able to reload every year instead of rebuild. And Coach Valentine just has his system so ingrained in the culture over there in Ashland. You're going to have a quarterback that's going to be able to throw for those kind of numbers and have a chance to play for a high-quality Division I team.
No question about that. A team that's won now 18 consecutive regular season games. For West Holmes, again, moved the ball pretty well at different times. There are 2 turnovers, though, that you just can't do that against really good teams.
You can't, but I think you got to look at the positives. They moved the ball a little bit better against Ashland than they did the week previous against Lexington. And I think that's just going to help them as they continue to move on here. You got a big game coming up Friday to help make this playoff push right at the end of the season.
So you obviously don't get wins these last 2 weeks, but 2 of the best teams in the area, Lexington and Ashland. You can't see this West Holmes team isn't battle-tested. Certainly, if you can come out with the right frame of mind, this is something that you can really get better from going into weeks number 9 and 10.
And I think Coach Lepla might want to have a word with the schedule makers. Like, you gave me Lexington and Ashland back-to-back. I mean, that's a hard go for any team, no matter what skill level you are. That'd be a hard schedule for some Division I programs in the area. But you learn more about your team in those kind of games than you do in a blowout win.
Yeah, the reality is, obviously, for West Holmes, they certainly like to compete a little bit better, but we've seen what Ashland's done these last 2 years. They've done this, if not worse, to most teams they've gone up against.
And they're a very good team. There's a reason they're at the top of the OCC standings right now and could end up with the OCC crown, and they're looking to make a deep playoff run.
In the end, as you mentioned here, this is still a good West Holmes football team. We know that. Now they just have to go out there and show it here these final 2 weeks of the regular season.
Yeah, final 2 weeks and 2 pretty winnable games to help make this last couple weeks push into the playoffs. And you hate to look at the silver linings in losses like this, but West Holmes, I think, learned a lot about themselves over the past 2 weeks and where they can improve to try to make a deep playoff run.
And West Holmes will try to snap that 2-game losing streak at Woody Hayes Quaker Stadium in New Philadelphia. Alongside West Holmes Knights head football coach Keaton Lepla, West Holmes, of course, going down to conference leader Ashland Arrows last week. And again, as we talked after the game, Keaton, that's a really good football team you faced last week in this Ashland team. What can you learn from taking on really good teams like that?
I mean, like we talked about Friday, it exposes where some of our weaknesses are, schematically, personnel-wise, just fundamentally. I mean, it exposes everywhere that you're weak. That's the positive you take from it. We watched film on Saturday, identified where those weaknesses are. In our meetings all weekend long, our goal is to shore up those weaknesses and protect those weaknesses, and then practice this week is strengthen those weaknesses. But yeah, really good football team that, kind of, again, gave us another reality check and another, more taped, to see where our deficiencies are.
You mentioned a reality check, and I wonder in a situation like this, we come off with a couple of losses against really good football teams, and knowing how important these next 2 weeks are, how much do you lead on some of those captains and those leaders on your football team?
Yeah, I mean, we have to. We have to lean heavily on them. We have to lean heavily on those guys that have experience. You look at all 4 of them, Lynn, Max, Brody, Braxton, those guys, Lynn's kind of the anomaly. He's got the extra games, from his sophomore year, but all of these guys have 13 games of experience from last year. It's not that much of a different situation than we were at last year at this time. But again, we're gonna lean on those guys heavily. I've talked to those guys. We have our meetings, and it's got to come from them. We got to toe a fine line between keeping our guys' confidence, and really harping on the things that we need to work on.
Obviously, it's one of those things you want to correct some of those things you need to correct, but at the same token, a reminder just for everybody the fact that this is still a good football team. We know what this team is certainly capable of. We've seen that through most of the year.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. We talked a little bit last week about trying to reestablish that identity and who we are. Did we accomplish it last Friday? No. Offense moved the ball a little bit. Defense had a couple situations where I thought they played really well, and we thought we had some momentum going. But then that lack of focus that we talked about, and that comes with first year starters. It comes with the inexperience that we have. But that we can't use that anymore. We're 8 weeks in, going into week 9. Those lack of focus moments can't happen when you face really good football teams, and it's going to be the same thing this week. They're a team that struggled at the beginning of the year, but now they're finding their groove, and they're a really good football team, and we can't afford to have those lapses of focus this week.
So aside from that, what's the other else are you looking for from your team here on Friday night?
I said it's simple. I said the message. There's two messages I gave our kids, and I'm going to give our kids throughout the rest of the week. We control our own destiny. We have 2 weeks of guaranteed football. You win both weeks, you're in. You lose one of those weeks, or you lose both, and it's out of your hands. You gotta see where all the dominoes fall. And then the second one is courage. You have a 2-week stretch like that. There's two ways you can go. You can rise up, or you can wilt away. So that's the message this week. We need guys to rise up to the occasion, rise up to the challenge, put that stuff behind us. There's nothing we can do about weeks 7 and 8. The only thing we can control is how we practice this week and how we play in week 9.
That's all the main things what you're going to do as far as worrying about West Holmes. Now, what are you expecting to see from this Quakers team?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, pretty balanced attack. I see a lot of similarities to us. They want to establish the run game. They got some good skilled receivers that they're starting to be able to take the top off of the defense. So offensively, I think we're going to see a balance. I think they're gonna attack us up front. I would say 7 out of the 8 weeks we've done a good job with the run. So they're going to challenge our defense and to controlling the line of scrimmage. And then secondary wise, we just got to communicate, be disciplined, stay over top, and not give up the big play. Defensively, I think again we're going to see similarities to us. They're aggressive, they're downhill, they're trying to stop the run, they're going to bring pressure. And again, I say this every week, but it's going to come down to who controls the line of scrimmage is the one who's going to walk out of here victorious. Who controls the line of scrimmage and doesn't have those lapses of focus is who's going to win this game.
All right, Keaton. Well, thanks as always, and good luck on Friday.
Thank you.
Jake Sottle here with the West Holmes football captains. Today I'm with Lynn Klein, Brody Bowman, Max Coakley, and Braxton Blake. Guys, thanks for taking some time to join us today. Lynn, we'll start with you. I know it's been a rough 2 weeks for you guys. You played the two of the top teams in the conference and didn't have the performance you guys wanted to see. What did you learn about your team from those 2 games?
We learned that we have a good opponent. We need to be ready and just not lack off in practice or mess around. So this week we're really locking in and getting after it.
Brody, what about you?
Just got to have a lot of confidence this week, and we learned that these past 2 weeks that we need to go into the game with a bunch of confidence and just be ready to play.
Max?
Yeah, we need to go in thinking about what we need to do and not what they want to do. We just have to go in there and do our jobs and just play complementary football and go in there and get a win.
Braxton?
Yeah, I think a lot of the problem has been we worry about what the other team's doing, and really if we just stick to our stuff and do what we need to do, then it's going to work out in the end.
So we'll start with you on this one, Braxton. As the captains of this team, what is your responsibility to help make sure your guys are ready to go out there and compete to the best of their ability?
Yeah, you got to keep them motivated, keep them working because, it's hard, this late in the season, guys are injured, it's getting colder out during the later parts of the season. You just got to keep them locked in and, keep the goal in mind for everyone.
Max?
Yeah, we knew the responsibilities we had to take when we ran for captain. So we just have to be a leader vocally and leading by example. So we just have to make sure our guys are just motivated and just want to play football.
Brody?
Yeah, just got to make sure everybody's locked in. Practices, make sure everyone knows what they're doing, help out the younger guys. Just get everybody ready for this week because you never know if you're going to have to play or not.
Lynn?
Like Braxton said, keeping everyone on the same goal. We all have the same goal to win, make a deep run in the playoffs, and that's what we need to do.
We heard Coach say he wants you guys to take the last 2 games of the season and your playoff hopes into your own hands. What are you guys doing to implement that as you get ready to face New Philadelphia on Friday?
Yeah, we're practicing as hard as we ever. We know that we need to win these last 2 games, and it means a lot to us.
Brody?
Oh, yeah, this is a must-win week. We know if we don't come out on top, that we could be done. So just a must-win, being locked in at practice and just getting prepared for Friday.
Max?
Yeah, it's plain and simple. If we go out there and we win these next 2 weeks, we're in the playoffs. we don't want to lose one and win one and have our destiny up to a different team. So as long as we just go in there with the mindset of we need to win, just practice hard, play hard, that's all we got to do.
Rexton?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I still got one more year, but these guys, it could be their last year. So, I fight for these guys, be able to play with them as long as I can because, you're not sure how many games you're going to have left with these guys.
Guys, thanks for your time. Good luck against the Quakers on Friday.
Thank you.
Well, whether you're a contractor or homeowner looking to spruce up or renovate your home, stop by and deal with MRV Siding Supply. Of course, they deal with nothing but the best in terms of different companies they deal with, like Provia. And, of course, you're looking to get new windows, doors, or siding. MRV Siding Supply can certainly take care of you in that end as well. Stop by MRV Siding Supply, located on County Road 624 in Middlesburg. They have locations also as in Newark and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Visit them on the web as well at mrvsiding.com. West Holmes comes in with a record of 5-3 on the season. They're 3-2 in the OCC, looking to snap a 2-game losing streak. They'll be at Woody Hayes Quaker Stadium to take on the New Philadelphia Quakers. Their record is 4-4 this season. They are 3-2 as well in the OCC. West Holmes currently ranked 8th in Division 4, Region 15. Of course, the top 12 teams in each region go to the playoffs. The Quakers on the outside looking in right now, they're ranked 16th in Division 3, Region 11. Of course, Quakers coming off that 44-20 loss to Lexington last week. Last year, New Philadelphia went 7-4 overall and fell to Jackson in the postseason. And last year's game in Knight Stadium was down to the wire again between those two teams, as it seems like it is every single year. Tied at 31 late in the fourth quarter, the Quakers got a scoop and score off a fumble recovery that get the game-winning victory, and they defeated West Holmes in that game by the final score of 38-31. Alongside Jake Sato once again, as I just mentioned, Jake, it seems like it always goes down to the wire between these two teams. You can expect nothing less with this game on Friday night, especially with the importance on both sides.
And I think we're going to keep seeing these games as long as both these teams are in the OCC. I go back to when the Quakers joined. It's another one of those close, almost crosstown rivalries, not a very far drive down to New Philly. And it's always a good test, especially late in the season here, week 9, and it always means something for each of these teams, where over the last decade, both teams have been right there, either fully in the playoffs or looking to make sure they make it in.
For New Philadelphia, really kind of been up and down throughout the season. For West Holmes, really most of the season has been very good. I think now it's just a matter of how do you respond? How do you kind of bounce back and really come back into an important game like this? And how do you guys come out there and really get started in a big game like this tonight?
It's all going to start with the defense. The defense, they haven't had performed the way they wanted to over the last 2 weeks against Lexington and Ashland, allowing the Minutemen and the Arrows to get on the scoreboard early and often. But I think this is a New Philadelphia team that struggled at the beginning of the season. They're getting their footing. You can't let them come in here and establish any sort of rhythm, especially on their home field. We'll see what happens. Don't miss it on Friday. Of course, you can catch all the action on FM 95.3 and WKLM-FM.com. We'll be live on the radio and the internet with airtime at 6 p.m. kickoff at 7. We are delayed on video, though. Once again, we'll be delayed on video. You can find the video on YouTube at Classic Communications on the WKLM YouTube page immediately following the contest on Friday night. For Jake Saito, I'm Matt Croy, and special thanks also to head coach Keaton Lepla. And that's been this week's Knights Football Weekly Preview Show, brought to you by MRV Siding Supply.
You've been watching the West Holmes Knights Football Weekly Preview Show, brought to you by MRV Siding Supply.